y'all, what is going on? My name is Orchid, if you're new here. I have not recorded anything in like so long, but you know what, we're free from the trenches now, so I'm back, better than ever, baby. Yeah, so nobody asked for this video at all, but because I am a woman of free will and determination, I figured I would make a video about how I render digitally. Yay! Okay, so our lab rat for this demonstration is Madoka from Madoka Magica. This is not going to be organized at all, like at all, and I'm sorry for that. Just the way it is, really. So basically first thing that I'm doing here is I'm filling the entire kind of like surface area for both of them with gray. I do have this on separate layers though, just to kind of like organize it a little bit, but honestly I have no problem with rendering on like one layer. I think it's helpful. I think it just makes it look a little nicer, but that's also because I like to have a little bit more of a like painted style, I guess. Yeah. So going in with like the skin tone and stuff, I was referencing a picture of Madoka's color palette on my phone while doing this because I was also watching YouTube. Anyways, but so when I'm choosing colors, basically what I like to do is I like to choose like more desaturated tones at first, and then go in with more saturated colors for like the shadows and the other kind of tones in there, just because I think the difference in saturation helps it like stand out a little more, and I just think it looks a little more interesting. As you can see here, I'm getting a little messy with it because I am trying to learn how to like kind of just like let go with my art a little bit, and like not worry about it being as like perfect as I want it to be in my head. But like, yeah, so I'm using a brush with a more of like I'm using a lower opacity, because basically once I'm putting in like the blush and like the shadows there, at least for the blush, it's more of like I guess kind of like an airbrush, but I don't think I was using an airbrush there. But basically I'm picking the colors in between the base skin tone and the blush color, okay? So it's kind of like a transitional color, kind of like with traditional art if you were using like alcohol markers and you have like your base color and your shadow color and you want to get like a good like in between middle kind of color. Yeah, I hope that made sense. For the highlights there, I think I adjusted this later actually, I don't really know, but I went in with more of a saturated like warm tone, and it does look a little funny, like it looks like she's got some crazy highlighter going on, and she's also very red right now, so I think I do fix that as well. For the lips, the thing is with the line art, I pretty much like filled in her lips just to get like the form down. I also just think it looks a little better that way, and I'm also not worried about it because what I would do normally is I would just color the line art layer, but then it looks a little funny. But since I'm going for like more of a painted style, I am going above the line art, I'm pretty sure, to render the lips. Yeah. Basically a lot of this process is trying to balance between the harsh lines and the like softed blended lines, because depending on the style of course, but from my experience, whenever I try to have a piece and it's just like completely like blended, you know what I mean, like all the lines are soft and you can't really identify any hard edges, like it just looks a little smudgy, and like, you know, time and place, like sometimes it works really well and it looks really cool, and if that is your style, like I'm envious, because some people make it look really good, but for me it just looks really like just smudgy, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think it is really important to have a good balance between the hard edges and your softer edges. Just gives it a little dimension, if you feel me. Yeah. Oh, another thing that I think helps a lot with art, and something I've been doing more recently, is using more of like a gray shade for the like the whites of the eyes, right? Because I used to use like a not pure white of course, but like closer to white, right, with the shades, and people since the beginning of time have always been like, hey, don't use pure white for the eyes because it's gonna look a little crazy, and I was like, I don't believe you and I think you're wrong. Turns out they were right. When you use gray or like a darker shade for the whites of the eyes, it actually, the way it makes the eyes pop, like it's crazy. It looks amazing. So if you don't do that already, I would suggest it. I think it'll change you as a person. So same thing for the eyes. I would say, like, when it comes to like referencing a color palette for like a pre-existing character or even like an OC or something, sometimes, like, especially if I'm doing like fan art, I don't like directly color pick the colors on the character, like if you have like a reference image, because like it can look good, but like sometimes it just looks kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but like stock imagey. Does that make sense? I don't know. But like what I prefer to do is to kind of like loosely reference the colors. Like obviously like you want it to be the same color, yes, but like I was saying before with like the saturation and like the different kind of like values and stuff, and you're gonna see eventually that I end up using a lot of layer modes, or not layer modes, oh my gosh, but like color adjusting. As you can see here now, I'm doing the color balance. This one I always mess up with because if you can see the little dots on the right hand side, that allows you to change the highlights, the shadows, and the midtones, and I always forget which setting I'm on, so I always end up editing the wrong thing. Another tip though for shading, and this is if you want to have some more like colorful elements in your art, on Procreate at least. I'm sure other programs might have this, but if not, you can also search up like color wheels online and they'll have these settings. But I oftentimes use the just like the different like color palette settings on the color picker. So like they have like analogous, right, and then they got like complementary, split complementary, and I do the I forget what it's called. You might see it in the video, but it's like the 4-way color palette. It's not split complementary, but it's like the fourth one, the secret fourth option, the secret unlockable option. I just do that just for like some variety, right? It gives me options, and I mean, the more you experiment with colors, the more you'll be able to kind of like identify patterns with what goes well with each other. Yeah, and like if they look a little muddy, then like switch the saturation, shift the hue, type shift. Yeah. It's a bunch of trial and error, but what I like about digital is the fact that you can freely kind of manipulate and edit the colors. And you don't necessarily have to like fully go over everything. Yeah, so I would just say also, if anyone's like new to digital or something, a big tip is just to like mess around with like the settings. Once you become familiar with like the settings that you're working with, it's gonna become like a lot easier to just kind of like, yeah, manipulate and edit your art the way that you want it to look, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And as you can see, like, I'm kind of just going over the lips now, kind of brushing them up a little bit. And I also really like the look of, like, going over the line art. So, like, typically what I do is, like, I'll have my base layer where I have all, like, my flats and stuff, and, like, basic shading, like, underneath the line art. And then what I'll do is I'll make another layer over top of the line art, okay? Getting a little crazy now. And then I call that, like, my rendering layer, quote-unquote. And then I kind of just, like, go in and do some extra details above the line art. I'm not sure if that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, that's actually not the layer I'm on right now, but that's okay. Another tip, and I know a lot of people say this, and I used to not really understand, like, what people fully meant by this, but, like, once you start to kind of treat everything within the drawing as, like, a shape as opposed to, like, individual lines, it honestly helps a lot. Even, like, when you're rendering, okay, or, like, when you're, like, shading stuff. Obviously when you're drawing it helps a lot too, because, like, I used to think, I was like, well, I don't want my art to look blocky, you know what I mean? But essentially what it means is just, like, you're just breaking it down into, like, 3D forms, right? Even though you might be, like, doing something 2D, obviously, when you're treating it like a 3D form, it's just gonna kind of, like, sell the illusion that, like, it's not just flat on the screen, you know? Yeah. And obviously, like, even if you don't have more of like a, I guess like a painted style, semi-realistic type, I don't know, it's still gonna help, even if your style's like really more like simplistic or more like, what's the word? Like, not like cartoony, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, another thing is, at least for doing faces, learning how to like put makeup on, or like how people like do contour and like highlights, that helps a lot. Especially, what makeup style is it? Is it like the Doyen makeup? The Doyen makeup? You know what I mean? Like where they do like the aegyo style, like under their eyes, you know, and they like highlight it to make it look more apparent. That helps a lot. And of course that's like perhaps style specific in a way, but also not really. Yeah, but it does help a lot, because again, with makeup, like contour and other things, once again, it is highlighting those natural forms of the face and like the shadows and the highlights of the face. Of course, lighting is going to like impact that, but at the same time, like the base forms of the face are always gonna be the same, depending on like people's face shapes, of course. Another thing is, like, I know this was really popular like a while ago, and I think it still kind of is, but a lot of people are doing like arcane studies like of that style, which is like pretty good, because like their art, at least the art for that show, really focuses on like the planes of the face. Yeah, so that's gonna be like one thing that can help you with like figuring out where like light and shadow goes. Yeah, honestly, this tutorial is probably like not the best for like clothing, because I'd be totally lying if I said that I was like #1 clothing master in the world, because I'm truly not. That is something I need to like improve on. Like, trust me, I know. Yeah, but another thing though with clothes, it's like the same thing. Like, you want to like treat it like forms, right? You want to understand that like everything kind of has like a plane to it, if that makes sense. Like, we're all kind of planes deep down in our cores, I think. Yeah, but you're gonna see too, like, I mean, in the hair, I tried to incorporate more colors. Like, I did the green kind of teal color, just because, like, I think I referenced, you know, like the little color palette thing I was talking about, but also, just in my elite ball knowledge, I understand that like pink and green go well together. But also, like, if you're trying to incorporate more colors into what you're trying to like shade and render, it is going to depend on, like, again, the saturation and the value as well. Like, if you put something really light over a really dark color, like, even if they are complementary colors, like, they're still probably, it's gonna make it look a little washed out, you know what I mean? Another little tidbit of advice though, the reason why the green part, the little teal, is kind of placed in like the hair that's more like in the background, is because elite ball knowledge, once again, things that are further away, okay, even though her hair is right there, it technically is further away relative to everything else, but things that are further away do look a little bit lighter. So obviously, like, hair isn't totally like that, like, hair is hair, and it's not like a horizon or anything. But again, it's just kind of like a little stylistic thing. Just for fun. We like to have a little fun around here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm kind of realizing that like this tutorial is like not amazing, because I'm not really explaining like step by step what I'm doing. But I'm more so explaining like how my brain is like working when I am coloring something. Yeah. So, but I feel like that's a little more helpful, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of telling you, like, the why I'm doing things, as opposed to, like, just me doing it. But at the same time, you can kind of, like, see what I'm doing. For the most part, if anyone's wondering, like, I am using the same brush. I used one brush for the line art, and then I used a different one for, the shading. If anything, maybe I've used, like, an airbrush as well, like, for, like, softer effects or something. But for the most part, I just use 2 brushes, because I know sometimes, like, I'll post stuff and then people are like, what brush is this? And recently I've like switched up my brushes a little bit, just because I have to like change it every so often or else I can't draw. Like, I physically feel like I'm dying. Um, yeah, no, you can see with the color balance thing, a lot of it is just kind of like, you just gotta like really look, you know, that's not very good advice, but it's like sometimes if you overdo it with like the different color settings, it can make it look a little deep fried, if you know what I mean. Like, it's gonna make it look a little too saturated, and maybe a little crazy, and we kind of don't want that. Obviously, like, sometimes that can be intentional, but if it's not intentional, it's gonna make it look a little crispy. The other thing I'm doing now here is just coloring the line art. Again, just a stylistic choice. I just enjoy how it kind of like blends into like the features. Another thing that kind of helps, at least with like colors, because I feel like this is mainly just about like picking colors and stuff, to be honest, is like, again, you know, the color editing settings are good, but again, like filters, quote unquote, like filters as in like, usually what I do is I'll select the area and then fill it with a color. It kind of depends, usually I change it, but then I'll change the layer mode to like overlay or like color burn or something, and that just kind of helps unify the colors a little. I would just say like another tip that kind of helps, and this is kind of random, but like don't grow like too attached to like the shapes you're making or like your sketch or like etc., just because I feel like sometimes it like limits you, and that's not true for everybody, but that's just something I struggle with sometimes. But here is the final piece. Thank you so much if you stayed this long. I hope this tutorial somewhat helped. Yeah, hopefully I can also like post more. I've just been like in a bit of a slump and I've been busy, but making videos is fun. It's just editing them takes forever. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for watching if you made it this far, and I hope this helped. See you in the next one. Bye!